In our today's class, we'll start collections. We'll try to understand what is a collection and what are different types of collections we have and what are differences between each other. So that being said, what is a collection? Any idea what is a collection? Say yes or no. No. Good. Fine. A collection is a data type which is used to hold more than one element in it. Okay, so usually if you have a string type of data type, you will be able to hold only one string or one alphanumeric sentence or one alphanumeric string inside it. And if you have a character type data type, you can hold only one alphanumeric value in it. If it is integer, you can hold only one value inside it, right? But think of a scenario where you are required to create a variable or a constant which can accept more than one element of any type inside it, then the data type which can be used for that purpose is called as a collection. Making sense? Good. And the basic collection or the very preliminary collection which you should be understanding is your array. We know what is array, right? Array is a collection which is used to hold more than one element inside it, right? Then let's try to derive at few points related to your array and we'll try to understand them. First one, array has a data type. Second one, array can hold more than one element of same type. Fine. Third one, array is not dynamically expandable. Fine. Length of the array should be declared while creating the array. Fine. Length of the array should be declared while we create the array. And the most important point related to your array, again, an element in an array can be accessed using the index of the array. Fine. You can't access an element without knowing the index of it. Making sense? So what is an array? A array is a data type, and again it can hold more than one element of the same type, and array is not dynamically expandable. What does that mean? Once you have declared the array size as 6, you can't enter the 7th element inside it. Making sense? Again, you'll have to go back and change the declaration of your array to 7, and then only you will be able to add it. Otherwise, it's not dynamically expandable. So that's one other important feature of your array, and length of the array should be declared while we create the array. So as we understood, you should declare the length of the array before creating it. Fine. So an element in an array can be accessed only using the index of the array. You should know the position at which the element has been placed inside your array so that you can access it. Fine. Making sense? And there are few important properties associated with your array, like index. Index will tell you at what position the element is placed, and length. Length will tell you what is the total size of your array. Making sense? Good. So here, when we are talking about the array, there are the last two points related to your array can be called as the drawbacks of your array. Why so? You will not know how many elements you will be saving inside your array when you are declaring it, right? Most of the times it is not practically possible to know how many elements you will be saving inside your array during the time of the declaration. For example, think that I have some 10 or 15 students in my class, and I have created an array of 16 elements, and tomorrow my business started booming and I got some 20 more students, and now I require to save almost 36 elements or 36 students marks inside the students marks array, so which I can't do until and unless I go back and change it. And I have changed it to 36, and tomorrow two more people join. I should again go back and change it, right? So it's practically a drawback. And the next drawback associated with your array is you should know the index or position at which the element has been placed to access the array. What does that mean? For example, think that I have 1,000 people in my class and I was saving all the students marks inside the array, and I want to retrieve Sai Krishna's marks, and Sai Krishna's marks are placed at 521 position. So I should remember the position at which his marks are saved, otherwise I can't access it, right? Which is a kind of drawback again. So these are the two drawbacks associated with your array. So to avoid these drawbacks, a new collection called as array list has been created. So what is a array list? Array list is a collection which is extended with the features of your array. And that being said, still your array list, for accessing the elements inside your array list, you'll have to know the position at which the element is placed, otherwise you can't access it. So that drawback still holds the same. Then what is the advantage of your array list? A array list is dynamically expandable. Fine. What does that mean? That means it can resize itself on need basis. So for example, today I have 10 students, the array list size would be 16, and tomorrow I have 17 students, array list size will increase to 24. Making sense? Good. So those are the benefits of your array list. So one drawback associated with your array has been overcome using your array list, but the other drawback still exists. Understood? And again, array list has two important properties associated with it. One is called as capacity and other one is called as count. What is capacity? Capacity will tell you at what is the current capacity of your array, which means, for example, think that I require to hold I am holding 12 people in my array list. Then the current size of your array list would be 16 because it would be multiples of 8. So capacity is 16 and size is or count is the number of elements inside it. So I have 12 people, which is the count of the array list, and capacity of the array list is 16. Making sense? Are you understanding? Good. That's about your array list. And coming to the array list, still array list has a few drawbacks associated with it, right? You will have to remember the position at which the element has been placed to access the given element, which is practically not feasible, right? Understood or not? So to overcome this drawback, they have introduced a new collection called as hash table. What is the benefit of your hash table? Before understanding hash table, you should understand something called as key value pair. Fine. What is key value pair? The elements inside your hash table would be saved as key value pairs, which means each element will have a key and a value. For example, I'll have to save marks of the students. Then I'll say Anil 100, Sai Krishna 120, Prakriti 150. So what does this mean? This means key would be the identifier using which you can access the particular element, and value will be the value which is being saved inside that particular element. Understood? So now if I have 10,000 students also, I can easily access a given element called as Sai Krishna because because there is some property associated with each and every element called as key, which uniquely identifies it and which is easily rememberable, right? Making sense? Are you understanding or not? Good. And again, coming to your hash table, there should be three important terms you should remember. One is item, other one is key, other one is value. Fine. What is item? Item is the element, individual element inside your hash table, and the item contains key and value. Key is the unique identifier and value is the original value associated with the item. Making sense? Good. So that's about your hash table. So fine, here you have overcome the drawback associated with your hash table. However, there is something associated with your hash table which is still considered as drawback. So here key value pairs in your hash table are saved as objects. Object. Fine. So it accepts any type of object inside your key and any type of value inside your value, because both of them, they are of object types. Making sense? We understood that object is a primary type associated with your C#, and that is a reference type, right? We discussed it when we were discussing reference types. So again, when you are saving some element inside your hash table, initially whatever type it may be of originally, it will be converted into object type. Okay, so data type or original type would be converted into object type, and when you are accessing the element, again object type will be converted into original type. Making sense? So this process of converting a specific type into object type is called as boxing, and this process of converting the object type back into your original type is called as unboxing. Making sense? Good. So you should remember these terms, because this is a very frequently asked question. They'll ask you what is the process of what is boxing and unboxing. You'll come across this question many times. Okay, good. So what is the problem associated with your boxing and unboxing here? For example, think that you are trying to save 1000 elements inside your hash table. Every time you save a element, it should be converted into object and saved, and again when you are accessing it, it should be converted into the original type and used, right? Yes or no? So which is a overhead? What does that mean? This conversion takes time, and if you have only 5 elements, yeah, and each conversion is taking 1 millisecond, 5 milliseconds is fine, right? But if you have 1000 elements and you are trying to make this kind of conversions 1000 times, it will obviously make some difference, right? So performance wise, hash table is not performing well because it needs boxing and unboxing. Making sense? Good. So that's the drawback associated with your hash table. Now to avoid these drawbacks, a new collection is created, and that is called as dictionary. Fine. What is a dictionary? A dictionary saves the collection, or the saves the elements as key value pairs inside it. However, you can specify the type of the key and type of the value when you are creating your dictionary. What's the benefit of it? By defining the type, when you are creating the dictionary itself, you need not box it and unbox it, right? Boxing and unboxing is not required because the compiler knows what is the type of your key and what is the type of your value, right? So in that way, your dictionary would be performing well when compared with your hash table, as it doesn't require boxing and unboxing. That's the benefit associated with your dictionary, right? Making sense? Now let's try to understand each one of them one by one. Finally, I have created a new class called as collections, and let me public void add elements in how to declare an array. ARR equal to, sorry, I have tried declaring it outside the class. Okay, new int of 4. Fine. And in the add method, what am I doing? ARR of 0 equal to 0, 1, 2, 3. Fine. I have added elements to my array. Now let me create one more method to access the elements inside my array, or I'll call the method as print, and what I'll do for int I equal to 0, I less than ARR dot length I plus plus. Fine. Here we are using the length element, which will tell you what's the size of your array. Okay, and what I'll do, console dot write line of ARR of I. Fine. Now I'll go to my program.cs, and what I'll do, collections obj equal to new collections, and obj dot add elements, and obj dot print. Fine. Now it should display 0, 1, 2, 3. Fine. Are you able to see the screen, guys? Good. Now let's go back to our collections and try to add the fifth element inside it. Okay, and let's run it. See what will happen. Is it throwing error? Yes, I'll have to change it. Okay, but I just wanted to show the error. So index was out of range. What does that mean? The range of the array is only 4 elements, and the index 5 or index 4 is beyond the range of your array. Okay, that's the reason why it's throwing the error. Fine. To avoid this error, again I'll have to change it to 5 and I'll have to run it. It will work. Making sense? That's the drawback associated with your array, and you'll have to know the index of your array for accessing it. However, let's change it to array list. Fine. So why is it throwing error? Because you'll have to import a namespace reference system.collections. Okay, so you'll have to understand count. Okay, so this is how I'll access it. Oh, sorry. You'll have to use a different syntax when you are adding elements to your array list. Tell you how to add it. arr dot add of 0. What is that? I did not get you, Sai Krishna. What is your question?
Don't we have to specify like what exactly we can have it?
No, you need not. It will dynamically
Okay,
take
like
based on the
okay,
value you have added.
okay, got it.
Fine. So this is how your array list gets displayed. However, if you see, we have never declared the size of your array list, and what will I do? Console dot write line of capacity of array list is 0, comma arr dot capacity. Fine. So now let's see what is the capacity of it first. So capacity is 8, right? Now let me I have added 1 2 3 4 elements again. Okay, now see, it should change to now we have 1 2 3 4 5 5 and 6 7 8 9 10. The capacity should be around 16 now. Oops. Okay, I did not write the line here. Fine. Understood? Are you understanding or not? So after adding the ninth element itself, the capacity gets increased to 16, which means it is dynamically expandable. Okay, I would say count is okay. Now it will make more sense to you. Fine. Capacity is 16 and count is 10. Fine. You have added 10 elements into it, and capacity gets dynamically increased in multiples of 8. Understood? Good. That's about your array list. Now let's create a hash table. Dot add of. Okay, what is it taking? What is the type of your key here, and what is the type of value? Both are of object types, right? That's what you should observe. Good. How to add values to it? Hmm. Key value pair. 1 second, let me see whether it accepts. Yeah, it is accepting directly. I need not create a key value type also. Okay, so add of Anil, comma 100. Sorry, 120. Prakriti 150. Okay. Sneha 180. Fine. Let's run it and see what happens. Is it getting displayed properly? Why so? Because how you display it is something different again. Display it. ARR of so dot right line of okay. So I don't want this now. Fine. So now it should display 100. Is it displaying 100? So what is the benefit of your hash table you observed here? You need not remember the index. You can directly check the key of it. Okay, key is the unique identifier here. Making sense? That's the benefit of your hash table. However, as we understood, technically there is a drawback associated with it, and the drawback is it requires boxing and unboxing. Fine. So let's create multiple same names and marks. Okay, key is a unique identifier. It will throw a error. If you already have some element with the same key, it will throw a compilation error. Making sense? You'll have to have unique key. Okay, like your last name or anything like that. Okay, key should be unique. Values can be same. Making sense? Because we can have more than one student with same marks, but you can't have more than one student with exactly same name, right? Even in our reality also, if you have two people with the same name, you'll try to differentiate it with something, right? That's how you do it here. Key should be unique. It's a unique identifier. Now coming to your last thing, it is called as dictionary. How to add a dictionary? Now if you add the dictionary as it is, it will throw a error. What is it saying? It requires two type arguments. Okay, you should say what type of key and what type of value needs to be provided. Okay, that's how here. 1 second, cannot be. Okay, good. I did not change it. Good. So that's how you'll tell that what type of key and what type of value is accepted. Now it will work. However, it works faster because you have compiler need not convert it into object and check it out. Making sense? Understood or not? Did you understand the difference between hash table and array? These days, many companies, they are asking you to take some written test. Okay, before you before they screen you actually for the first round technical or second round technical. Okay, so there I have been seeing that multiple questions are there on hash table and your dictionary. Making sense? Okay, that's the reason why it's important. Okay, concentrate more. Now that's about your collections. Are these the only collections we have in your C Sharp? No, there are few other collections which are called as generic collections. Okay, we'll understand generic collections once we start something called as generics. Okay, but before that we can't deal with them. Okay, so generics is an advanced C Sharp concept and it takes some time before we start understanding generics. Okay, making sense? For now, these are the basic collections which you should remember. Making sense or not? Good. Now, let's try to understand something else called as exception handling. Okay, let's try to understand what is a exception handling. Can you tell me what is the difference between error and exception? Can you tell me what is the difference between error and exception? Any idea? Say yes or no. No. Good. So error is a unintended scenario. Okay, which means you don't expect it. It's unexpected. Okay. Your code should not contain any errors. Okay, it should not throw any errors, and in reality there can be two different types of errors. First one is your compilation error and second one is your runtime error. What is compilation error? When you are trying to compile the code itself, if your code is failing to compile, then that is called as compilation error. What is runtime error? A error which happens when you are executing your code is called as runtime error. Making sense? Understood the difference between compilation and runtime error? Good. Now what is exception? Exception is a expected scenario. However, the difference between error and your exception is that exception is a intended scenario, but it happens only in exceptional case and you should be handling it. Okay, you should be covering it because your code cannot handle all the infinite scenarios you have in real time, right? So there might be some scenarios where your code may not be applicable or your code may fail. So you should be handling them, somehow covering up them, so that your code control will not flow through them, right? However, error is not like that. Error should be fixed. Making sense? Exceptions need to be handled and errors need to be fixed. Understood? Yes or no? Good. This process of covering up or mitigating your exceptions is called as exception handling. Fine. Now let's see what is the exception. Let's try to create a simple scenario for getting an exception. Okay. And fine. Public void create. Oops, what happened? Public void create. Okay, and what I'll do, int create of int a comma int b. Okay, and I'll make it as int instead of void, and I'll return a by b. Is it good? Making sense? It's just returning the division of both of them. Okay, so exception handling obj equal to new exception handling, and what I am doing, obj of create pj dot create of 2 comma 3. Okay, and I am running it. It works fine. Oops, sorry. I should console dot write line. Console dot write line of. Okay, now I am running it, and it works fine. 2 by 3 is 0, right? Because it is a integer type. It's returning integer type. Good. And maybe I would say 6 by 3. 6 by 3 is 2, correct? Now I would say 6 by 0. What's happening? It's throwing a exception, right? Good. So what does it say? Divide by 0, exception was unhandled. What does that mean? That means exceptions need to be handled. Fine. How will you handle it? How will you handle it? You will use something called as try. Okay, you will try to int c, and you will try to compile the result of a by b, and you will return c. C by default will be 0. What's happening? Okay, good. So fine. I should write something called as catch. Okay, try should be succeeded by catch. Okay. Equal to 0. Fine. By default, it will return 0, right? When it fails. However, is it okay to return that 6 by 6 by something is 0? Is it okay to return so? 6 by 0 is 0. Is it correct? No, right? So I should handle it. Okay, I'll use the catch to say that the catch will get executed when your exception occurs in your try. Okay, what will I do? Inside the catch, I'll write correct input, right? Is it making more sense now? Good. Now if I run it, in this case it will say that input is incorrect, right? I'm throwing some generic message. However, I wanted to show to the developer what error has exactly occurred. So how will I write that? I'll overload this catch method or catch block with some argument called as exception, and what I would do, console dot write line of ex dot message. Okay, this exception has a property called as message which will hold the exact error message, right? Is it throwing the error message exactly? Good. So you can use the catch block to handle the exception, and try block to try the code, try executing the code. However, there is one other block called as finally block associated with your code. What it will do, it will be used for executing some code which needs to be executed even if your code fails or code doesn't fail. Fine? Making sense? There might be something like some message which says the key close the console. Fine. This should be called in both the cases, right? So I would write it in my finally block. Making sense? So many times in interviews during the first round or screening rounds, they'll ask you this kind of questions. They might ask you, when will the finally block get executed? Okay, you should tell them whether there is an exception or whether there is a no exception, your finally block will be executed. So second thing, if you want to log the error details, okay, think that you are in a production support application. Okay, your code is in production and exception is an unwanted scenario which cannot be predicted, right? So you'll have to understand that kind of scenarios. So in reality, what will happen, there will be some logging procedures to record the exceptions when they happen on the production, right? Because the people who are using the application, they are not technical people, right? They will not understand what is the exception, or they will not understand that the exception should be saved somewhere, right? So whenever a exception occurs, they'll log it in some database or some other files or some other locations, right? So when they are loading it somewhere or when they are logging it somewhere, they should know which part of the code has thrown the error, right? So for that, they have some property associated with your exception called as tag trace, which will contain the details related to the code where it occurred. Are you able to see that? It will tell you where the code has occurred, line number 16, right? Good. In this way, here, yes, when you load it into the log tables, your developer can simply go to the log table and see at what position the exception has occurred, and he can put a try catch, or he can try to fix that if it is a valid scenario, right? Making sense? Did we understand what is a exception, what is exception handling, and what is try block, what is catch block, and what is finally block? Did it make sense? Did we understand what is a collection and what is array, what is array list, what is hash table, what is dictionary, and what are the differences associated with each one of them? Good, awesome, fine. That's it for today, and please don't miss class, tomorrow's class, because I wanted to do some practice and I wanted to give some assignments to you as well based on the practice we do in the class. And both of you, please install Visual Studio on your machines. Fine, if possible by tomorrow, else at your earliest. Good, good, fine. Hope Prakriti also did that. Okay, if she has not done that, anyways, both of you are friends, right? You can help her out. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much, guys. Let's meet tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. Thank you. Good night. Bye.